What's happening, fellas? Man, isn't there something cool about F sharp? So many songs. I mean, that's a paraphrase of Deep Purple, right? So let me get the comments on here. Sorry. I had to restart and forgot to turn these back on. Now the comments are on. I'm sorry. Anyway, good to see you guys. Sorry last week fell apart. So many cool songs in F sharp. I really dig it. I don't know why. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm going to have kind of a short show today. Whoops. Don't talk and play guitar. Little prototype amp waiting to go into production. So I have news about production. Les Pauls. I love Les Pauls. "60-year-old hands are cold, man." Anyway, so as you guys know, been kind of struggling getting the production going. Hey, Hoss Thompson, how are you? I'm getting on. Sorry I missed you last week. I had some stuff come up with my daughter that needed to be addressed pretty quickly. Some car problem that needed the dad. And as much as I love you guys, and trust me, I do. I love my daughters more. So anyway, and then I got sick over the weekend. So the rig sounded good. Thanks, Spruce Creek. Yeah, I'm playing my Les Paul. It's kind of a mongrel Les Paul. I got the body from my friends over at Gibson. But the only thing left on it that's Gibson is the finish and the frets. No, the finish isn't even Gibson. I had that done here in North Hollywood. It's been a long time. It was 20 years ago. I got this for my 40th birthday. So it's got Ron Ellis pickups in it. Michael DeTemple did the nut with the fossilized mastodon ivory. I have locking tuners, better pots and caps in here. And then I have a Tone Pros bridge on here, but I think I'm going to upgrade it to the Faber. Well, the Faber bridge I put on my 335, I really love it. Anyway, and this is, the prototype really reacts differently to different guitars. This will actually be getting made. That's what I'm here to tell you. So the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to work with my friend John Thompson at Bad Cat to do a collaboration amp with him, like he did with a few other people. That's pretty much me, Hoss Thompson. That's it. I didn't have money to fix my own car, so guess what? I went and bought the Chilton's manual. I don't know if they have those in England, but over here there's a company called Chilton that makes manuals on how to fix every car. So John Thompson and I are going to do an amp together through Bad Cat. That is going to be really cool. Actually, it's going to be loosely based on Little Elvis. So the fun story there is that, let me see if I can adjust this microphone just a little bit. Sorry. John Thompson used to be a customer of mine. Oh, screw it. It's too late. I'll do it later. John Thompson was a customer of mine before he ever got into making amps. That's right, Brian Mendes. 200 watts with 36 knobs and 12 switches. And no one knows what they all do. No, it's Elvis. So John Thompson bought an Elvis from me a long time ago, like 2010. And the one that he bought is a prototype. And the prototype was made in 29. We released the amp in 2010. Right? Oh, you got the Chilton's Guide for your 70s cars. Yeah, right on. That's how you do it. We ain't got no money. You learn. It's amazing what you do when you have to. So anyway, I'm zigzagging all over the place. Sorry. So John bought a little Elvis from us in 2010. And he liked it so much that's what kind of put him over there. It was the last straw, and Bad Cat was struggling at the time from the previous owner, who's passed away since, rest his soul. John bought the company and turned it around. Now Bad Cat does $4 million a year. Huge, right? And I was talking to John about the struggles I've been having to produce amps. And he was like, well, how many amps are you talking about to get started? I go, I don't need many. I just need to get my dealer network back up. So he went, I can do that for you. So when John got started, we talked a lot. I spent a lot of time working with him. He's a super nice guy, and he's quite the gentleman. We get along really well. We've always had a really good rapport. So I was just kind of calling him for advice. And it turns out he's going to really help me. So we're already working on the collaboration amp. So it'll be a Bad Cat amp, but it'll have my name on it. Just so I need to get some cash flow going, right? So, and it's going to be so fun. John and I have been trying to figure out how to work together ever since. I mean, we constantly talk about, hey, what if we join forces? What if, we've tried, and so many things got in the way, like COVID and the recession and all this kind of stuff. But we finally found a way to do it. And I'm really excited about it because I really like John quite a bit. I don't think our amps compete very much. I don't think they overlap that much. They sound very different. They both sound great. They're just different. I have this nasally up the middle sort of sound, and he's got more of a modern sound, and it works great. It works really well. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an Elvis. We're going to add some Bad Cat's features to it. We're going to put another gain stage on it with some switch. He has a digital reverb that he uses that sounds killer. I didn't even know it was digital. I kept complimenting. He goes, it's a chip. I'm like, oh, crap. Let's do that. And he has a buffered loop that he loves. We're going to add that to it. We might get rid of the master voltage and replace it with his master volume, which works really, really well. So it'll be kind of a Elvis on steroids. And depending on what we can work out with transformer manufacturers, might do a run or offer an upgrade to have Mercury on it. So we're already starting on that and might be available, before NAMM. So we're hoping to go faster, but I can't push him. He's got... So we might do more than one collaboration. Hey, Javier, how are you, buddy? Hola, senor. Bienvenidos. Yeah, so I'm a little tired today. Sorry. I was really sick over the weekend. And woohoo, man, says Brian. We also lowered the voltage and raised the current a little bit. I don't really need to do that. On this particular amp, maybe just a hair. Like, this amp's not real super high voltage. I think the B plus on an Elvis is like 340, which is at the top of the safe range, but it's in the safe range. The London and the Soho and stuff, those get up to like 360, which is getting a little, you can really only use JJ tubes in those. Bad Cat 356. It's not a bad idea, Haas. You know what a fan of 356s I am. Or Cobra. I don't know. They use feline names, so. So it'll have a plaque on it with my name on the front, maybe a little 65 logo on the control panel, but the big logo and everything will be Bad Cat. But it gets me back into production. In the meantime, he's going to help me work on getting out the amps I want to get out, the Stone Pony and the Elvis. We can do it rapidly. I mean, like really rapidly. So he's got a big, nice new shop. I went down there in Costa Mesa. I went down there last week on Tuesday, and we were supposed to have a lunch meeting, ended up staying all day. So I had a great time. His staff is excellent. John's a very good leader, and he's created a really good atmosphere there. Everybody that worked there was very capable and cool and smart. It was really nice. The Bad Cat XK. Hoss, you got to come over, man. I got another microphone right here. So anyway, you get the idea, right? Really been struggling to get moving, and I'm not sure what the problem has been. So I kind of gotta, spread my, Bad Cat Jag. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, Hoss. All right, you get a discount. Still got to find a cabinet maker here in Los Angeles. I'm going to talk to some people here that have huge CNC machines. And if anybody's here in Southern California has some ideas, most of the cabinet makers that are here I know. The shops that can do the full cabinet, like cut the wood and cover it. I might have to, John's suppliers are fully saturated, so I can't use his. So I can get the wood cut here. That's no problem. There's lots of shops here with huge CNC machines, like huge furniture production houses and stuff. Sorry, man. I'm digging the sound of my own stuff here. Haven't played this Les Paul in a while, and I'm like, dang, this sounds good. Yeah, I need to go get my 335. It's over at Michael DeTemple's. I got to run over and grab it, and I can bring that back and play here as well. So anyway, that's the good news, man. Like, we're going to be making amps. I'm going to use some local people here to get the circuit board conversion done. I'm just excited, man. I've been kind of stuck in a rut for, 6 months. And it started running out of time and patience. The people that want to help me get started, and my wife, started saying, hey, man, like, what's the deal? What are you going to do? And time to fish or cut bait, as we say in Missouri. So I'm not burning any bridges with my other contract manufacturer that I was going to use. He's still on the hook, but right now I got to move with whomever is going to get me in business. So kind of uncomfortable, but that's business. That's life. And like I say, I'm not burning a bridge with the guy. If he can come through and do stuff for me, it'd be great. Maybe he can do other. Hi, Martin Addison. Nice to see you, buddy. Long time. I have 3 lines of things that I need to build, so there's always room for everybody. So this particular immediate stuff that I need to get done, though, we're going to do here in California. A upholstery shop might not be a bad. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I just don't want to drive and ship things down to Mexico all the time. That's a good, from where I am in Los Angeles, it's about 3 hours to Mexico. And that's just to the border. Like if I want to go down to Ensenada, there's a lot of Fender factories down there. And I thought about that. I have a lot of connections at Fender, and I'm actually friends, really good friends with one of the former CEOs of Fender. So I thought about, going down to Ensenada and seeing what I could come up with. And so Bad Cat is in Costa Mesa, which is an hour and a half from here, hour and a half south of here. So they're actually an hour and a half from Mexico. So getting stuff brought from Mexico to Costa Mesa wouldn't be a big deal. But I would have to get it done all there. Like I couldn't like ship the wood down to Mexico, get it covered, and then ship it back. By that time, we're spending a lot of money. I watched that Bruce Springsteen documentary last weekend while I was sick. In My Letter to You, I think is what it's called. I love how Bruce uses the six chord on everything. And he does it so well, and it's almost like, oh, don't go to the six chord again. And then when he does it, you're like, yeah, Bruce. Javier, yes, it will be available in Spain. So whenever you see a Bad Cat dealer, and then the collaboration amp will be there. I think he's got 90 dealers, and he's kind of said, hey, if we do an amp together, all my dealers are going to buy 2 of them at least, and hopefully a lot more. Hopefully they'll sell through. Dang, that sounds good. We got to get back to making amps, man. I love this stuff. Let us know when you have an amp. We would love to take a look at it. Vintage Guitar Magazine. Thank you, Bob. Really, seriously, thank you. It shouldn't be too long. Would you like to get visibility to the prototype, Bob, or you want to wait till we have a finished product? Because I'm happy for Vintage Guitar to be involved along the way, if you would like. I think it's kind of fun to see behind the curtains in the process. I can give you update videos, and if you want to come down, I'll definitely come get you at the airport and take good care of you. Yeah, man, Haas, I'd love to have you here. Unfortunately, I couldn't pay you enough to make it worthwhile for you to move from England. My hands are so cold. I'm sorry. I have not played a guitar in over a week and a half. And at 60 years old, you just can't do that. You got to play guitar every day. Or your hands start to get like, the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz, oil can. Just wear and tear on the joints, man. I started playing guitar, 1977, 1978. And the joints are definitely a little worn down. No big deal. Ward likes to wait until, okay, yeah, that's cool. Bob, I'll tell you and I can communicate, and you can incorporate it into the story if you like, when it's all done. Yeah, those are some cold hands. But I'm really excited about it for 2 reasons. One of which is, okay, we got fuel in the tank now. We're moving forward. The other thing is, I get to work with my friend John Thompson, which is really cool. I'm really excited about that. Very fun. John's just a super guy. And, I remember when he was just starting out, let's vaporize it. Right on, Bob. You guys know Bob Dragich from Vintage Guitar Magazine, who's here right now. Say hello, Bob. Bob's been a friend of mine. Gosh, Bob, how long have we known each other now? I think I met you at the very first NAMM we did in 2004. So 22 years? Yeah. Bob's really cool. He's a San Francisco kind of old hippie dude in a nice way, not dirty hippie, but like smart, fun hippie. Great musician and serious lover of music. And he edits a motorcycle magazine too. So. But speaking of names of amps, cod liver oil, buddy, sorts out the joints. Yeah, you know what I do? I eat a lot of sardines and oil, and I take supplements. I do like collagen peptides and stuff. That really frees up my joints. It just takes me a minute to warm up. That's all. Like, I'm not going to subject you to sitting around going. If I do that for 5 minutes, just a chromatic kind of warm up thing, my hand will be throbbing like a bicep after curling, But I didn't do that today. I try to do that before I come on the show, but I screwed it up. I've been kind of busy. I take my daughters to the airport this morning. They're going to visit their grandparents in Atlanta. And I just got home and flipped on the rig, and here I am. So, sorry about that. I apologize. Man, I'm looking for an envelope. Oh, so I need so bad. All these AI programs. I have an envelope here with some pictures of my very first band when I was in like 7th or 8th grade. And they're pretty poor photography, of course. That was back in the dark ages before electricity, when you had to watch television by candlelight. And so it's cheap black and white photography from 1978, I think. Basically a blow up from a little compact Kodak. But now with AI, you can make them look so good. The flubs are how you know it's real. Thanks, Haas. You're a generous friend. I appreciate that. You always got my back. I want to acknowledge that out loud. So anyway, but that means we get to proceed. Speaking of names, first one on the dock's going to be this guy, which I'm running 6L6s in it now, but I plan on making this with 6L6s, EL34s, 7591s, 6V6s. And on the 7591 and 6V6 amps, I'm probably going to have 4 power tubes in them, and it'll have the high current, low voltage functionality. So I am up for suggestions on names. If you guys have any ideas, right now it's El Pompadoro. I don't know if you can see that on the webcam or not, but that's our in-house name for it. I still got to work on this channel some more. I'm not happy with it. It's a little too gritty, sandy sounding for me. But I need to smooth it out. And that's not with the gain cranked up. If I do the gain even higher, it gets a little noisy and weird. Like, yeah. You get the idea. Needs a little work. Really focused on this. That's the gainy thing, the bump on. There's a bump off. That's 6L6s. Now I can run EL34s in this as it sits, but the impedance will be a mismatch on the output transformer. Brian. El especial del Chico Blanco. Sí, comprende. Yeah, man. I like that name too. El especial del Chico Mayonesa. Glassmaster, and make the literature like 90s home gym infomercial. Get Jane Fonda in a workout suit. Yeah. Brian. Everybody say hi to Brian Mendes, one of my best friends in the world right here. And also one of the best drummers I've ever played with. maybe the best drummer I've ever played with. What's Mike up to these days? He's got his shop. He's still Tech and Friedman's and Tone Kings and stuff like that, Soldanos. We do a little work together, but it's not much. Mike's still my buddy. I liked working with Mike a lot. Mike used to work at Bad Cat for a long time. It's just a huge commute all the way down there for him. Mike kind of helped John get going. I think Mike started working there in 2013 and worked there for a long time. That's sloppy shit. That's not bad for 6L6s, right? You think that sounds more EL34s. But technically, since this is 8-pin, full-size tube sockets in here, you can run any tube you want in there. A lot of their impedances are pretty similar. Like if you run KT66s and a 6L6 amps, hey Ken Shore, how are you, buddy? It'll be fine, If you want to run KT77s on an EL34 transformer, it's fine. That sort of thing. You can run KT88s are kind of similar. So sounds awesome. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, man. So it'll be a flexible platform, but I got a lot of stuff I want to add to it. A lot of the stuff we're going to do at Bad Cat. So maybe that makes sense. I don't know. I'm digging this. This works. Get a little fine tuning on this guitar here, but it's not bad. Yeah. But I can technically, so I can go here, and then there's actually an even lower gain thing. Let's see. '65 Beetle. I think there might be a copyright issue there. Javier, no. To be honest with you, like spring reverbs are great. However, there's a real practical problem. Yeah, John, Haas, I try to use as few chassis as possible. A universal chassis is the way to go. No one can tell the difference, but why stock 4 or 5 different chassis sizes? I had 2, the full size and the smaller ones for like the Ventura and stuff. So anyway, spring reverbs, Javier, sound great, but for practical purposes, they don't make sense in production, and I'll tell you why. The spring unit have degraded so much, and they're all made in China now, and I can't get 2 that sound the same. And so in order for me to get one good one that I feel I can use in a product with my name on it, I have to buy 5 to 8 of them. And then I don't know what to do with the rest of them. It's just a lot of money sitting there. But now digital reverb sounds so good and feels so good. It doesn't make any sense to me to do that. So, the digital reverb chip, I think costs $18. And it's 100% reliable. And it sounds really good. I'm not kidding. I'm not just saying that because it's what I want to choose. I was playing amps down at John's last week, and I kept commenting, wow, that reverb sounds great. He didn't tell me right away because maybe he thought because I'm a snob or something. I'm not a snob. If it sounds good, I'll use it. If the amp's made out of old soup cans, I don't care. Well, if it sounds good, I like it, right? So finally, after me playing Bad Cats for over an hour, he goes, "That's just a chip." I'm like, really? That's amazing. Oh, thanks, Bart. Good to see you, buddy. So, I went through this years ago, 15 years ago. I was getting a lot of requests for reverbs. And even back then, even though the onboard digital chip thing wasn't as advanced as it is now, there were pedals that sounded way better. Like the Strymon Blue Sky and stuff like that. Leyland even, yeah. And if I build you a spring reverb, Javier, you get one option. If you use a digital one, you can pick 6 or 8 different kinds of reverbs. And they sound good. I'm not kidding. They don't feel different. They don't sound different. And they're dead quiet. And reverb units, not only is the spring reverb pan expensive and inconsistent as hell. I mean, like, vacuum tubes are way more consistent than a reverb pan is. And then you got to drive it with a tube. And then you get into tubes again. Like, it has to be a tube within a certain little narrow gain window, or the reverb sounds really bangy and crashy. Like when you hit the amp. So it just doesn't really make practical sense to do it anymore. I know there's a lot of romance around a spring reverb. I'm personally not a reverb guy because I spent most of my time playing live. You really can't use reverb. I mean, you can in little clubs and stuff, but if you're playing on a stage, especially in a big-ass loud rock band, which I was doing when I was a kid all the time, reverb just kills the vocal mics. Sound man will go crazy on you. First thing he's going to do is turn that reverb off. I'll put reverb. If you want reverb, I'll put it on in the PA system, but turn that shit off right now. When you're playing in a little club, if it's not real loud, you can do that. It's fine. Or if you're in a band where you're the only guitar player and there's not a lot else on the stage, like a 3-piece band, you can get away with that. So I, just through experience, never became a reverb guy. And plus I grew up playing, Marshalls and Vox, mostly. Those amps don't have reverb. I think Vox had an attempt at a reverb in the 60s, and it sounded like, what's the word I'm looking for? Ass. I don't know if Marshall's ever made a reverb amp. If they have, I'm not aware of it, and probably because it was junk. So Fender 65 Kaiserkeller, jawohl. Wir haben ja diese Abend das Beatles. So, yeah, it's a long explanation, Javier. Sorry, I'm not trying to lecture you. A lot of people ask me about that, and there's not a quick answer. I can't just go, no, I don't like it. Well, why don't you like it? So-and-so uses them. Well, go buy one of those. That guy is blowing a lot of money trying to make it work, DSLs have it, but quality, yeah. Ah, right, the DSL, I forgot. Mach Schau. Yeah, that's right, Haas. Ja, diese Abend machen wir Schau mit den Beatles. Anyway, so John Thompson has this reverb chip that I love. I think it sounds really, really good. Hey, Mike, how are you, buddy? The modern Marshall DSLs have digital reverb. Right, there you go. I was talking about back in the day. I haven't really looked at modern Marshalls except for their reissues of old ones, to be honest with you. There hasn't been the last Marshall that I was really interested in was the first iteration of the JCM 800 before they put the clipping diode in front of it. And that was one that just had an extra tube over a Mark II master volume. It was another tube, and that you could control the gain on. Yeah, Spruce Creek. The digital reverbs are killer. They work really good, and they're affordable. If I were to do a tube reverb with a pan and all that stuff, that would raise the retail price of the amp like $400. Doing the digital reverb is going to raise it like $40. So, A little more treble, don't we? Or maybe pull a little bass out. There we go. So, I hope that makes sense. I don't want to sound condescending or anything about it. I've just been through it so much. And it's funny, I hear a lot of guys asking for verb. And I used to do a survey on the old show. Reverb never sleeps, like Rust. So I used to do a survey on the old show, and everybody kind of raised their hand if they wanted reverb. Is reverb important to you? Is reverb necessary? Is reverb something that you're happy just using a pedal for? All that kind of stuff. And everybody seemed to think, there were a few people that are traditionalists. No, I really want a tube reverb in my amp. At which point I would say, maybe you should buy an old amp. Old Fenders aren't that expensive. I mean, there's a lot of them around. Some of them are. When you get into tweeds now, they're getting ridiculous. But Hard Rock Steel says, I use it on my boards. Love pedal, rotary reverb. Yeah, that's right. Mr. Black Blood Moon is a good one also. Yeah, I just have the UA pedal down here. We can kick it on. The Heavenly. This is like their UA plugins in a box. Whoops. Let me kick it a little bit just so you can hear it. Exaggerate it. Yeah, Mike, this has EQ on it. It's called the Heavenly pedal by UA. And it's literally their reverb plugin. They just put it in a box. Pat Miller, hey, buddy. Also, it's really fun to switch reverbs around. I mean, on my other board, I have the Strymon El Capistan. And God, there's 20 versions of that. This one's pretty simple, Hard Rock and Steel. It's got the level and mix, and then it has EQ on it, and mid boost, and pre-delay. That's it. How'd I bump into that? You hear the verb? I have it pretty conservatively set, like it quits fast. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool, Bob. Thank you. Bob from Vintage Guitar says, I mentioned in a VG article that the 65 amp was the first one that I didn't need reverb for. So don't stress about it. Well, that's kind of what I got out of surveying all my customers. When it came down to it, it was less than 20% of the people that thought it was important. So the people that love reverb really love their reverb. And even those were like, yeah, I mean, I can live with it on a pedal board. It's fine. For me, there wasn't enough people that it was compelling enough for me to change the amps. And I even at one point said, hey, look, if you buy an Empire, I'll give you a reverb pedal. There was some company, I forgot who it was. They're down in Orange County. They've disappeared, but they made a really good reverb. And what was it called? It's on the tip of my tongue. There you go, verb. And I could buy them from them wholesale for like $80. And I thought, you know what? I'll just throw in a reverb pedal. If you want to buy the amp this month, I'll give you a reverb pedal. Well, I know there's a lot of old albums with a ton of reverb on it. Like, when you listen to like... Girl, you really got me now. That kind of stuff, tons of verb. It's just not my thing. I don't know. Honestly, and you can't use it on stage. Like I said, unless you're in a really quiet environment. Small club, really low stage volumes. I don't do that, man. I play in a rock and roll band. That sounds awful, doesn't it? But it's the truth. Um, you've seen that guy, I forgot his name, put those videos out, like, these are my monitors, and it's a freaking huge set of speakers. And yeah, we play loud rock and roll and fuck your sound man. And, I don't care. It's a rock band. That's kind of the way I feel. I don't like to play super loud, but I don't like to be neutered, So there's all that. Pardon my bad language. I'm sorry. I'm tired. So Mike Leaptrot, I don't know if you heard. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I got to quit a little early today. Yeah, you do get natural reverb in a big room. That's a great point, Hard Rock and Steel. And that might be the difference between playing in a small club versus playing in a theater, or even a bigger room. I just never missed it. There's another guy on stage with a big loud guitar amp, and there's a bass player next to me, and there's a drummer hitting cymbals in my face. All that stuff, I'm not going to even notice if I have reverb on or not. And in my experience, reverb makes me fall back in the mix. So I've turned my amp up to be heard, which is not a good cycle. You get in that escalating cycle of cranking your amps. And then all of a sudden it just sounds like trash cans rolling down the street, Mike Leaptrot correctly states, thank you, Mike, got my back, get it? Pun intended. Open back cabinet is enough reverb. That's why I do open back cabinets on ours, so the guys on stage can hear you. Otherwise, you're just blowing the eyebrows off people right in front of you, and that's it. Yeah, that's right. The band guitar EQ versus the home solo playing. Yeah, similar vibe. That's right. Yeah, reverb's fun. I mean, if you're sitting, especially when you're recording, it's great. And I'll do all that stuff. I just, in my experience, never got adept at using it because I never could. I didn't spend much time sitting around the house playing guitar. From the time I was 8th grade, I had a band and we practiced every day. I mean, every day after school. And that was all the way through high school. So we literally just put down our books and went and played rock and roll till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Had dinner. Got up and did it all again when I was a little kid. And then I went to music school when I was 21. And we were playing full loud shit all the time. It was really good at Musicians Institute. I did sit at home. I had one of those little Galen Kruger, lunchbox things in the 80s. It was like the first little tiny solid state amp. Had 2 5-inch speakers, I think, and it had stereo chorus. It was really cute. I played that at home just for practicing because I had a lot of work to do when I went to Musicians Institute. You usually had a lot of homework when you were there. And I had one of those, and it had a headphone jack on it. That's what I did. I had a Rockman. This is how old I am, right? I had a Rockman, and I never liked that damn thing. I don't care what ZZ Top's Eliminator album sounds like. It's like I never was inspired by it. It just felt so sterile. You still have one of those Galen Krugers, Mike? That's cool. Mark Salnier says, a touch of reverb in front of my producer sounds great. Yeah, that's cool, man. There's people like you who probably know how to use reverb correctly. I actually don't. I'm a big fan of echo. I made my living when I was playing for a long time with an Echoplex, with an EP3, the solid state Echoplex. Super happy with that sound. That and a rat pedal, I was good to go. Sometimes I had a clean booster. Generally, in my experience, says Hoss Thompson, reverb negates the cut of the amp. Yeah, it does. That's what I mean. It kind of puts you back in the mix, which is sort of the opposite of what I want. But then again, I don't like hiding in the mix. Well, I think you're nailing it, Hoss. I think it's a style thing. A lot of people have a different idea of what the guitar should be in the mix, and they're all correct. It's just personal and subjective. Me personally, I like a very right up to your nose, mid-range, clarity kind of sound with the guitar. for some people that's too bold or it's too forthright. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, man, whatever makes you happy is the way to do it. I think we're all affected by the music that made us happy when we were kids. You know, when I was learning how to play guitar, the first record I ever sat down and tried to learn was Montrose's first record. And that's just a plexi wide open. It sounds killer. You know, early ZZ Top, Fandango. I went to that show when I was a kid too. You know, and that's just Marshall Stax wide open. What else? See, Hendrix, of course. Hendrix had a very right in your nose kind of sound. I really like that. But there were songs that when I was a kid that to me sounded perfect, like guitar wise. And I wanted my guitar to sound like that. Like All Right Now by Free. It's a great song and it's become kind of cliche at this point. But the guitar is stupid. It sounds so damn good. Jimmy Page, of course, you know, Les Paul through a non-master volume Marshall. So those are the sounds that I got in my head when I was being formed as a child. And that's, to me, what a good guitar sounds like. So there's a lot of experiences like that from childhood that stick with you forever. You know, on the tackier side, like the first beer you ever drink is kind of what you think beer tastes like. So like when I was a kid, my dad drank Budweiser. I grew up in Missouri, right? You know, there's two businesses in Missouri, Anheuser-Busch and Purina, right? And Budweiser in Missouri is not considered a hayseed hillbilly beer because, you know, when you don't have to cross state lines, they don't have to pasteurize the beer. So that skunky taste when you drink Budweiser, that's only outside of Missouri because they have to, by law, pasteurize the beer if you cross state lines. So literally, like in St. Louis, Budweiser tastes killer, which is where it's made, right? You know, Budweiser plant is right next to Busch Stadium. And then if you cross the river over into East St. Louis in Illinois, the beer's been pasteurized and it's skunky. So that's a weird analogy, but that's the way my ears work. You know, there's sounds, there's so many records. And there's bands that I was never wild about their music, but I listen to the sound of their guitars. Like, for example, Foreigner. You know, their songs are fine. I mean, they're kind of formulaic and poppy or whatever, but the guitars, Mick Ralph, his guitar sounds great. You know, just so good. So I could go on, but so that's where my ears are. Now, if you grew up listening to Strats through Fender amps, you're going to hear reverb in your head. It's going to make sense. So there's no right or wrong to it, you know, especially if you grew up in a place where you heard a lot of country music. I heard country music when I was a kid, but in Missouri, you get exposed to everything. But you know, of course, and then Keith Richards, you know, just wide open, even though they're Fender amps, it's all right up your nose. Chuck Berry. You know, those are very straight, clean sounds. I don't mean clean as far as distortion goes. I mean clean as far as not being processed, right? So I think it's interesting. I really shy away from saying this is good, that is bad, because it's really not. It's, sorry, pardon me, scratch my nose. It's subjective. So whatever makes you happy is good. So when I say I'm not a reverb guy, I'm not trying to say you should not be a reverb guy. I'm just saying for me personally, it's too late. You know, the way I learned how to play when I was a kid, there was no reverbs. And if you didn't have an amp with reverb, you didn't have reverb. There were no good reverb pedals in the 70s. I mean, there was that Ross pedal, but it wasn't very good. Martin Addison, buddy, good to see you. Dan, is there much practical difference between the 65 Blue Badge 112 standalone cab versus the red badge? No, zero, just the color of the badge. It's the same cabinet. We literally just put a red badge on the red ones and a blue badge just to match the amps, you know, but it's the same cabinet. So if you can find a red badge cabinet, it's the same thing. There's no difference. Same people made it, same covering, same everything. We just put a red thing on it. That's all. So I'm really running out of time here. Do you guys have any thoughts or questions? I'm excited to share with you that, okay, I think we're moving forward finally after all this time. Like, you know, we were started last year and Mark Guillen, who's been helping me, we had commitments. You play your Tupelo every day, man. That's cool, Martin. Thank you, buddy. Um, we had commitments for a lot of money to get started last year, and then the tariffs happened, and it shut off like water. Like nobody wanted to talk, and we don't really have to rely on overseas stuff very much. Although down the road, I'm going to probably do some additional overseas production just for general market stuff, but I'll always have high-end stuff made here in LA. And then in March, I think, when the Supreme Court ruled the tariffs illegal, there's still some there. They're not done yet. My phone literally, I read the news at like 6 in the morning. I kind of wake up, read news, drink coffee for an hour, trying to get kick-started. And that was at 6 in the morning. By 9 o'clock, my phone was ringing like crazy. And there were people going, how much money do you need? What do you want to do? And it turned back on. So I think we're good. And the requirement that I have for bigger money is to get my dealer network back up and running and start getting them full of amps, which John Thompson's going to help me do. So we might make more than just the Stone Pony and the Little Elvis. And I think hopefully we can share dealers. He's got a big dealer network. And I was looking at his dealers, and a lot of them are ones that I'm talking to. So maybe we can really get this going quickly and get it done well. And I'm really excited, and I'm really proud to be working with John. We have literally spent 15 years trying to figure out how to work together. So I think we found it. It's really nice. I'm really happy. So anyway, I'll stop talking because I can't stop talking. Tell me what's on your mind. What are you thinking today? Have you heard anybody heard any news on the Fender? I heard Fender I read the press release the Fender CEO put out. It was a little walking back like, hey, we're not suing anybody. We're just sending cooperated die letters, which is really what I've seen, the demand letter, the cease and desist that they send. It's not friendly. It's not subtle. It's not like, hey guys, would you mind please stopping? It's like you do this and you destroy guitars and blah, 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 or we're going to kill you. It's not very subtle at all. Now, I may be exaggerating a tiny bit there, but not much, 10%, It was really shocking to read it. I'm under non-disclosure. I can't really, I probably said too much there already. But I think, I don't think it's going to turn out well for them. I also noticed that Paul Reed Smith is now putting out marketing materials with people playing the Blue Sky and talking about how much better it is. He's going to go toe-to-toe with Fender. Hard Rockin' says, other than power switching toggle versus master voltage, is there much difference between the producer amps and your new design? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of similar. They're in the same family. They're similar in the fact that, like, this is 2 gain stages and a cathode follower. And this is just a different tube that's getting pushed hard. Yeah, started by a guy named Bud. You're right, Bob. I've heard so many inside stories on this that I shouldn't say here. But it's an evolution of those. It's not just the same amp. We've changed things. We've changed quite a bit. But it's, like I say, it's evolved from the producer. The producer's still a killer amp. Like, it's solid, go-to, reliable, stage-worthy, hard punching amp. This is just going to have a little more on it. And I'm going to add some of the things that I was talking about with John Thompson, right? I want to do some better switching on this. I want to put a buffered loop in there. And I might put this digital reverb on there as well. So, and then beyond that, I'd like to do some digital stuff, like be able to put a load box in it, play IRs. Kind of modern standard stuff, that a lot of people are doing. I'm not inventing anything new. I'm just kind of updating the amp. I would like to have some Bluetooth control on it. So if you want to change IRs or you want to change, some of the digital stuff in there, like the Verb or Echo, you could do it from your phone. You can even put presets in and for songs, that kind of stuff. So I'm not inventing anything. I know there's other people doing this. I just want to do it really good and incorporate it into a really good sounding, reliable amp. So, the high current thing, low voltage, means you can use any tube you want. Tubes are going to last for decades. You'll be fine. If you want to spend the money on NOS tubes, which I always recommend, but it just depends on your budget. If you want to spend the money on NOS tubes, it's a good investment. They're never going to go bad. When you put NOS tubes, like, some of my Marshalls that are really high voltage, it's going to burn those tubes up. So, you go out and spend $400 on a pair of really good EL34s. They're going to burn. So anyway, with this, and if you don't have budget, you can just put the cheapest crap Ola tubes you have in there, and it's going to sound really good. Really good. So the producer does that somewhat. The voltages were marginally reduced there. So like for a producer 6L, I think the B plus on that is 290 or 300, where a normal 6L6 amp, the B plus is 4.25, 450. So those tubes are going to last a long time. But it's not adjustable. Had the master voltage on there, but it's a little wonky. I like just being able to switch. Like this one, I didn't do it today. It's still on. Technically, I could do it, but I can drop this down to 3 watts. Doesn't sound any different. You put a microphone on, it doesn't feel any different. Usually when you do that, so with the master voltage, there's a little bit of compromise there. When you get down to really low wattage, like 3 watts, there's only so much a tube can do, right? And with this setup, it works better. It's a little more manual, but it does work better. So I'm really happy about that. I'm excited about that. But I want to get it done. So we'll probably end up with 3 voltages on here. This only has 2. Ultimately, I'll have a full voltage where if you want to run this up or out, I'm not going to do like crazy high voltage, but let's say it's a pair of 6L6s. We can run these at 350 volts and it'll still be pretty safe. Like they're still going to last a long time, like for a gig or something, you want to do that. Right now it's running at 20 watts, which I believe is somewhere around 200 volts. And then when I switch it down to maybe 240, but when I switch it down to 3 watts, it's literally like 105 volts. And it works. Jorn Martin Peterson, what's the story behind the plus minus switch on some of the older amps, such as my Monterey? That's just switching a capacitor. You get a little, it's not really a gain switch, it's a frequency switch. So when you ask a tube to make more bass, it's going to distort faster. And so it's more of a, think of it as a pickup adjustment. So like from a single coil to a humbucker. So if you're on the humbucker, the minus, this doesn't have that, but is kind of the way to be unless you really want to push it. And if you have a Strat, it's good to hit the plus. So it, oh, good question, Javier. And then Mark Saulnier says, which producer model sold the best? That's a good question. I think the 6L. I'd have to look. I don't remember. Because we started making that amp in 2010, 2011. And unfortunately, when I did my license deal, they weren't really into that. So I thought it was the future. I still do. Because the big problem with tube amps, if you want to have real tube thing, is you got to burn tubes, and the tube supply is getting worse and worse and worse, and they're expensive and way more expensive than when we started. So Javier asks a good question here. When changing power, will you make the amp go into standby for a brief moment? It's going to sort of do that naturally. Because, when I'm in this middle position here, it's standby. So in order to get from like the high powered thing, oh yeah, no guitar hooked up home, to get down here to the 3 watt thing, it's actually on standby for a second. That's the beauty of doing everything manually, is you can control it. And why does that matter? Well, let's say you're playing with some buddies in the bar on Saturday night in your neighborhood and your amp gets weird. If you can control it manually, you're safer. Say you're in a studio trying to record and you don't want to waste people's times, or you're paying for a studio, or you're paying for a rehearsal spot, or whatever. Having that manual control keeps you. The only reason something's going to go wrong is if you screw up, right? The amp's not going to screw up. But if I have intermittent switching that's kind of crazy in advance, they can screw up. And there's nothing you can do. You got to take it to a tech and fix it. You can't do it manually. So I prefer having everything manual just from my own experience. If something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong on stage in front of people. Murphy's Law, right? That's when it's going to happen. So I always try to avoid that every way that I can. Just like, I prefer a manual transmission over an automatic transmission. I prefer rack and pinion steering over power steering. I live in LA, man. My car can't screw up on the freeway. So some amps fry FY3. You mean the rectifier tubes? And it might be one of the pitfalls that a lot of people fall into when they want to make an amp that's vintage inspired is they, for the most part, just copy an old amp. There's a few companies, and they make really good amps. I'm not putting them down, but when you look at them, it's just an old Fender circuit. And those amps were designed, like here in the U.S., I don't know what it's like in Spain, Javier, but I can tell you from here locally. Like, for example, when I moved here in the 80s, the most voltage you would ever see coming out of the wall in Los Angeles was 116, maybe. And because the power grid is so stressed out here, especially in the summertime when everybody's running their air conditioners, you get 112 volts, out of the wall. And amps sound really good there at a lower voltage. Now, modern stuff going on, much improved power network. On my power conditioner that's here under my desk, I'm usually reading 123, 124. So what does that mean? Why does it care? Well, rectification is usually 4 times the voltage coming in. So if you're burning a rectifier, it's being asked to do a lot more work than it was designed to do. So a lot of people just copy. Lone Star Special is a great amp. I don't know if you're burning rectifier tubes. I'd check your voltages. Like, do you have a meter? Can you check the wall voltage at your place? But anyway, so like for example, a Fender Deluxe, a blackface Fender Deluxe. When those things were built in the 60s, the B plus voltage on that, brown box is excellent, Martin. Great suggestion. It's a really good piece. I highly recommend it. But anyway, if you're a Blackface Deluxe in 1964, plugged into the wall in Los Angeles, the B plus you'd be getting is about 390 volts, which is plenty. It's a loud little combo amp, right? If you plug it into modern wall voltages, you're going to get 440, 450, which is just going to beat the tar out of your tubes. But it will fry other components as well. So a lot of people just look at a schematic and copy it. And a lot of transformer companies make copies of old transformers. And if you want to get one that has adjusted voltage on there, they charge a lot more. So a lot of people just opt to, I'll just get the original one and it'll be okay. And the tubes won't last, but it's okay. So there's an economics lesson there. You go broke saving money. Or at least go broke being cheap. So, all of our stuff, like some of the transformers that I use in my amps are based on old transformers, but they're adjusted for modern voltages. I go to Mercury and say, I want to net out, I'm using this rectification and I want to net out this voltage. They do the math backwards for me and create me a version that says, boom. So, like for example, on, I think the Stone Pony, the power transformer is based off of a Tweed Bandmaster. A really nice transformer. It moves really nice. It kind of sags really beautifully. But the voltage is adjusted on there. Because if I put that in there now, with modern voltages, the B plus voltage on those tubes would be way too high. Just way too high. So for every volt you increase it, so let's say, I'm used to getting 116 out of the wall here and 40 years ago, and now I get 123, right? So that's 7 volts. What's the big deal? Well, it's not 7 volts. It's actually 28 volts hitting your amp. And 28 volts is, it's a huge change. It sounds different. It feels different. And pardon me, my goodness, Dan. It feels different. It sounds different. And it will affect the life of the amp. No. So the power switching right now, this amp is solid state rectifier. I could do it a tube, but tube rectifiers only work for amps up to about 40 watts. And so if I put a tube rectifier, that limits what I can do for the highest voltage setting, which I haven't decided what that's going to be yet. I need some more bench time playing with it. I need to get it out with artists to play on stage. That kind of proper testing. Not the, hey, I think it's cool, let's sell it. I want to get, feedback. One of the things I always done, I know what I like, and that's cool, but whenever I made amps before, I give them to pros, and I have them tell me what they want. So instead of me trying to guess what they want to buy, I let them tell me what they want to buy. And usually everybody likes the sound of the amps. It's just the feature functionality. And, what kind of environment is it going to work in? That sort of thing. So I try to accommodate my customers more than just myself. That makes sense. Hard Rock Steel says you can put that Yellow Jacket solid state rectifier that plugs in the tube socket. That's a good choice too. Those things work really well. Groove Tubes used to make one that literally sat in the tube socket, and it was just a diode bridge rectifier, and it plugged right in there too. It sounds great. Tube rectification does feel different than solid state. It's a subtle difference. It's not night and day, but sometimes people are really particular about that, which is fine. You should be happy. You should always be happy with your rig. Don't do what other people tell you to do. Do what you want to do. My opinion is just an opinion, and it's only valid to right here. Once it moves past my nose, it's not worth anything. I can tell you my experiences, which I'm happy to share, but it's still just an opinion. It's still just an opinion. And the vulgar cliche, right? I've read many debates that you cannot hear the rectifier tube. What say you? Well, that's a delicate question. And I'll be as diplomatic as I can be. It depends on your experience level. Mark D. Hey, Mark D. How are you, buddy? I hope you're digging your new amp. So, Scotty Bratcher, hey, man. Good to see you, buddy. So, there's an experience level that comes with playing guitar, and I think you really have to put in a certain amount of hours performing with a band to start picking up on subtle nuances in amps. Because I know there's a lot of people that, and this is not a slight of anybody, and I mean it in the most respectful and humble way I can say it. But there's a big difference between guys that play guitar for a living and guys that play guitar for fun. Also, some people have different ears. Some people are much more in tune with these things than others. Some people are way more perceptive to these things than other people are. So I think it's somewhat subjective. Some people can hear it and feel it. Some people can't. So I can hear it. I can feel it. The question for me, though, it's not super important. I like tube rectification on lower powered amps. I think it compresses a little more. It makes it just a little more friendly. Makes your guitar just a little more cooperative. If you want a little amp to sound like a big amp, then a solid state rectifier is the way to do that. But I like tube compression. Some people don't. For example, our good friend David Cobb, who bought some amps from us, when I first took London over to him when he was here in LA, he used to be resident at Sunset Sound. I took one over, and his first comment was way too much compression. There's EL84s with a tube rectifier. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, oh man, it's just way too much compression. I can't stand it. He bought subsequent amps, but he didn't like that. I go, well, I can put a solid state rectifier. He goes, it's EL84s, man. They just compress. I don't like it. Yeah. So it's all subjective. I think food is the best analogy. Man, if it hits your taste buds right, it's good food. Whether it's healthy or not. But if you like it, it's good food, right? So you're welcome, Martin. It's kind of a long-winded answer. I'm sorry. I always try to be delicate about those things because there's a couple of forums, I don't want to say names, Gear Page, because that'd be rude, where people just want to argue and they want to be validated. You know, they want someone to tell them your opinion is the right opinion. Well, isn't an opinion by definition not able to be right or wrong? If it's an opinion, it's opinion. The definition of opinion is it's subjective. And your perception is different than other people's as well. Like, I don't hear through your ears. You probably have a different frequency response in your ears than I do. So if I could listen through your ears, it probably is going to sound different. Mark Salnier says, like people who prefer rosewood fretboards because maple is too bright. Yeah, it's all just, some of it's psychosomatic. I mean, to me, maple sounds different than rosewood, but not much. Not enough for me to go, I definitely want rosewood, or I definitely want maple. I'm like, yeah, great. I have maple strats and tellies and rosewood strats and tellies, and they're great. I love them all. It's really okay. So that's a long-winded way of saying, if you like it, it's good. So I personally can hear a rectifier tube, Martin. But it's subtle. It's really, we're talking a 3 or 4% difference in an amp. But I've been around amps my whole life. So my level of analysis is probably different than some guy who plays for fun on the weekends when the kids are at soccer practice, you know. And that's not a slight. That's not a derogatory statement. It's true. A lot of guys play guitar just as a hobby, for stress relief, for therapy, all that kind of stuff. And that's cool, man. That's really cool. Or maybe even they got a little band and they play at a neighborhood bar every couple months or something. That's really cool. That's all good. It's all valid. It's all valid. Scotty Bratcher asked earlier, how much would a Klon be if people lived by that? Yeah, no kidding. That Klon I have, $69 from Behringer. I love it. Sounds as good as any Klon I've ever played. So anyway, you know, I'm really resistant, not to lecture, and I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like a blowhard or pontificate about this stuff, but I'm really, really resistant to people on the internet telling other people what they should like or should not like, or telling people they're stupid because they like something, or telling people that they're superior because they like something. There's a word for that in Latin. I don't know how to say it in English. How's it go? Bullshit. That's some serious bullshit. If you tell other people they shouldn't be happy with something they're happy with, you're an asshole. Plain and simple. Sorry to be blunt like that, but I really don't like it. And it's just, who are you to tell someone what to like? Like, you can like whatever you want. I don't care. It doesn't affect me at all. I don't need you to validate my opinion because I'm a grown-ass adult. Pat Miller says, I can't tell the difference. I just love the way my Tupelo sounds. Well, there you go. Perfect. Yeah. And, you know, you play guitar probably differently than I do. And, you know, you have different guitars than I do and different pedals and stuff. So, you know, it's okay. It's quite all right. Tupelo solid state rectifier, though. It's been a long time since I made that amp. 16 years. Elvis is not, but I think Tupelo is, right? Tupelo's got a bridge rectifier in it. Is that right, Pat? Good to see you, buddy, by the way. How are you? Hell, I was trying to get out of here early, and would you say some designs vibe better with tube and others with diode? Yeah, I mean, subjectively. I mean, I personally like to use a tube rectifier if I can. Yeah, Tupelo solid state. Thank you. Well, it's been a long time. Sorry. I personally like the feeling of a solid state or tube rectifier, excuse me, because I play really hard with my hands. So when I play an amp that some amps, not every amp, just some amps that have a solid state rectifier, I kind of have to change the way I play because the amp gets jumpy. Does that make sense? It gets a little fast and jumpy. And with a tube rectifier, I get a little more give in the amp. Like when I hit it really hard, it sags and then comes back, which people mistakenly call blossom. All that is the amp recovering from the initial punch in the face you gave. So, yeah, I think the bottom line is it's all kind of subjective. Now, if you haven't gone through the cycles of this stuff that I and other people have, I'm happy to share with you my experiences, but take them with a grain of salt. It's just my experiences. We're different people. We play differently. Martin Addison has 3 Tupelos. Holy moly, that's more than I have. Great job, Martin. I'm flattered. That's really cool. Tupelo for me is great. It's a rocking little amp, and Hoss Thompson used to use it just pushed. And it's a great little rock and roll amp. But it's also a fun little country amp. You know, if you just back it down a little bit, you can play country and rockabilly and Americana, you know, Tom Petty kind of sounds, like all this sort of stuff. But if you want to push it, it's a rock and roll machine. Really fun. When we keep talking about resurrecting old amps, Tupelo gets into the conversation a lot. You know, Tupelo and Elvis are first cousins, right? We named it because Elvis is from Tupelo. I know you guys knew that. Some of you might not have. We made the Elvis first, and we go, man, we should really do a 6v6 version of this amp. And I was like, what do you call it? Well, Elvis came from Tupelo, Mississippi. So, yeah, that's good. These are good questions, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. But I do need to kind of run, unless you have something urgent you want to talk about. Yeah, I smash it up, says Haas. Still love that bias tremolo. Yeah, I can't. Nothing I like better than a bias tremolo. If you really smash it, it goes into Neil Young territory. Yeah, you can make it suffer. I like that sound. If you want the sound of a Bogner, modern high gain, that's not the way to do it. Go get a Bogner. You can't take a vintage inspired amp and make it act like a modern amp. You can't put a cat on a leash and make it walk like a dog. It just won't do it. It's a very similar kind of thing. So anyway, yeah, guys. Well, nice crowd today. This looks like the numbers are good. Sustained quorum here today. But I do need to run. I'm going to hang here because I know there's a delay here. From my end, it seems like it's maybe about 20, 30 seconds. Neil, the godfather of grunge. That's right. That's right. Neil Young's tone's crazy. Like, it's so good. The only fuzz tone I ever actually like. There you go, Haas. Yeah, Neil Young's rig is, especially when he's playing Gretches, like, holy crap. Or that P90 Les Paul that he has with the Bigsby on it. I saw him play that guitar in person over here at the joint on Robertson. He came and sat in with Waddy Wachtel's band because his bass player, Rick Rosas, plays in Waddy Wachtel's band. So I used to go see those. It's been a long time, you know, have those guys who passed away, rest their souls. So whenever Waddy was playing, you never knew who was going to show up. Keith Richards showed up one night because Waddy played in the Expensive Winos, right? But Rick Rosas, who's a great bass player, played with Neil Young forever. And every once in a while, Neil just show up. You know what was really strangely one of the most fun was Winona Judd. Winona Judd showed up and sang Zeppelin and killed it. It's been a long time since I rock and roll. And she murdered it. Murdered it. That was really fun. But I was there when Keith showed up one night. I was there when Neil Young showed up. Lots of cool people. Some people from, Ricky Nelson's world would show up once in a while, even though most of them died in that plane crash. It was cool. It was a really cool gig. One of those LA kind of really fun things. But Tupelo can go there. You know who gets a sound similar to that is Jason Isbell with My Old Gretsch Guitar. Um, and I like it. So yeah, Tupelo's in the conversation. Let me know what you think on the fans page of the amps I should resurrect. I think the Stone Pony for sure, because everybody wanted one. We had to quit making it because the tube supply went to Scheisse. It's a German word. I can't translate it. Scheisse. I don't know how to say it in English. Anyway, fun and exciting stuff. Thanks, Dan. Good chat. Take care. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. And likewise, thank you for participating. I really like it. A lot of these sorts of setups, people don't really participate. I don't know if it's because they feel like they shouldn't or they're self-conscious. I don't know what it is, but forget all that noise here. I want to hear all your comments, and don't be shy. If you have a question that you think is maybe entry-level question, that's fine. I'm not going to make fun of you. It's all good. It's totally cool. I do not play like that. You're not born with all this knowledge. I spent decades acquiring it. I wasn't born with it either. So I spent a lot of time and effort trying to become better at what I do. So I learned some stuff, and I'm happy to share it. And there's people that know a lot more than me too. I'm not posing as some expert. I just a guy with some stories. Anyway, I do got to run. Man, I love you guys. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. And hopefully I have another good update for you next week. I might even try to do a show from down there in Costa Mesa where you guys can meet John Thompson, who's so nice. Oh my God, you'll love him so much. Anyway, gotta run. I love you, mean it. And we'll talk real soon. To be continued.